American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now in the CZ studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. Welcome in with me. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, my brother from another mother?
Not too bad considering it's post-garbage day at my house. So
Post-garbage day. It was garbage day here at the ranch today. So,
Yep.
well, you know, there's that.
yeah,
And we took care of business today with the garbage man. Hey, he came around the corner in the cul-de-sac here. I just walked outside with garbage, handed it to him. He said, thanks.
Boom.
I said, thanks. I like my garbage man. He's a great guy. He helps me with boxes and stuff like that. He's a really cool guy.
ours is really changing here pretty soon. We're going to city-provided dumpsters, so you're gonna have a recycle and a regular garbage, which will eliminate the usual like home-bought trash cans or being able to put a bunch of stuff out to the curb. They're gonna eliminate all that. So our house is changing a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I kind of feel bad for some of the staff because now the garbage trucks are all automated with cameras and stuff. And there's one guy, it used to be 2 or 3 guys hanging off the back grabbing your stuff, and they're gone, you know?
Yeah, those guys are leaving my neighborhood as well.
Dave Workman, Bellevue, Washington, Second Amendment Foundation, CCRKBA, journalist extraordinaire and close friend. How you doing, my friend? Great to have you on the program. Mom's favorite guest for a reason, Dave. Welcome in.
After that kind of an introduction, I had to just hang up my laurels and go home.
Greg, cut the music. Cut it. Let's go. Let's cue. Let's get done. Dave's good to rock and roll. There you go. Hey, Dave, lot to cover with you today. I do want to start with James Harden. The press release came out yesterday, and, wow, what a crazy story. And more keeps coming out about it. And I'm going to frame it this way, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong. My mind is like this. More keeps coming out about it because nothing more keeps coming out about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me, even though there's officer discretion involved, there is a law, but I want your take.
Well, I was talking about this with Alan Gottlieb this morning, and we're sitting here scratching our heads wondering just what's going on with this.
Right.
Here's a guy who's apparently he wasn't speeding. Mm-hmm. Apparently there was nothing defective about the car. You know, I have been involved, shall we say, from an observer standpoint, in a fair number of traffic stops. When I used to ride with sheriff's deputies all the time up here early in my career, because I was trying to figure out exactly what goes on, you know, out there on the road. And this business about, well, we stopped you because you got a license plate light out, or your rear tail light is blinking, you know, just some excuse. Apparently, he was driving along within the speed limit, and he got pulled over. This escalated when the officer allegedly spotted a gun, apparently in the open, I would guess on his car seat, that was not in a holster. To my knowledge, that there's nothing in the Texas law about having a holstered gun or a gun in a holster, and he got arrested for that. So yesterday, I looked at the Harris County website trying to figure out if I could get a copy of the arrest report or any kind of booking document or anything like that, and it wasn't there. I couldn't find it. And this thing was 5 different pages long, and I scrolled back through it. And apparently what they did was they only keep these things online for a period of 48 hours. Well, this occurred on a Saturday, and I was looking on a Tuesday, which is like 4 days later. So I'll cut them a little slack on that. But the fact remains that every report that I've read about this, which refers to the arrest report or the booking document or / court document, none of them go beyond saying that the details are kind of sketchy. There's really not a lot there, and to my knowledge, and from experience, if you've got a gun on a seat next to you when you're driving, that's not visible to any other motorist, period. The only way that somebody could visibly see that gun is if they were walking right up to you after you had been stopped. Period.
Yep.
It's physically impossible to make that out any other way. So here's this guy Harden, and I don't know anything about this man. I'm not a sports nut. I don't care what might have been in his background. We're talking about an incident that happened about, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
Yeah, like 3:45 a.m.
That's it.
Middle of the night.
3:45. Okay. 0 dark 30. And he's out there driving apparently by himself, and he gets arrested for this. As I explained it to Alan this morning, the details of this are kind of hinky. And if anybody knows cop jargon, they know what that means.
Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. There is a statute in Texas, and apparently it was put in place in 2023 that if a gun is in an automobile and it is partially or fully visible, it must be holstered. So I guess technically that's okay. But let's get real here. The officer has discretion. Mr. Harden, I understand you're not from Texas. Mr. Harden, in Texas, it's lawful to carry your gun. We're glad you do. You have every right to do that, especially you, sir. No question. We have no problem with that. In fact, everybody carries guns in Texas, Dave. Let's get real. And a cop could easily have said that to him. And Mr. Harden, we're probably aware that you're likely unaware that if the gun is in the car, and it's visible, it has to be holstered. So I just want you to be aware of that for the future. That's what should have happened, and it didn't.
Yeah, well, I stand corrected on the holster thing.
That's okay.
Then.
I didn't know either. I was the same way. I thought, this is Texas. I can't believe we're even having this conversation about Texas, for crying out loud.
Well, yeah.
This is like New Yorkish and Illinois-ish and now Virginia-ish and California-ish. And, I mean, my gosh, it just didn't seem to make any sense. So that begs other questions. What was the purpose for the stop? Because there was no other mitigating circumstance. There's no ticket for speeding involved. There's no tail light out. There's just this. So he had to have been stopped for some reason, or like you said, common sense dictates there's no other way he could have seen the gun unless he stopped him and got out and walked over to the car. It's that simple. That's the only thing that could have occurred. So it begs a couple questions. What happened during the stop? I would love to see body cam footage. I don't know that we ever will. I thought about doing a FOIA myself on that. I would love to get my hands all over that, and I'm going to guess that somebody in Texas has probably already done that. To my knowledge, it hasn't been released yet. But there's a couple things. Was this a driving while black incident? Did Harden get upset at the cop and tick him off by, pulling the whole, I'm not going to give you my ID, or why are you stopping me? There's an argument, and that's why the cop gave him the ticket. Was this a rogue cop? There's a lot of questions here, Dave, but none of it makes any sense unless something like that occurred. And even if it did, it should never have happened, frankly.
Well, yeah, I don't see why this even happened. Now, maybe something is going to come out in the discovery, and I'm fine with that. But right now, there's a certain smell about this thing that just really won't go away.
To be spoken in your best British accent. Well said, Dave.
Yeah,
well done
you
indeed.
got that.
I know Greg's going to tell us we're getting ready to take a break. Greg, how much time do we have, Greg, in Texas?
40 seconds.
40 seconds. Okay. So, Dave, let me take us to the break with this, because I agree with Dave Workman, ladies and gentlemen. This doesn't pass a smell test. Something is up. With the information, now keep in mind, this is live, coming to you in real time. If anything pops and we see it, because we are looking for it while we're online. If something else breaks, if something's released about the story, we'll let you know. We're constantly keeping our eyes open for that. But with the information that we currently have right now, there's a smell test, and this doesn't pass it, ladies and gentlemen. There's something else going on, and as Dave says, maybe something else will come out down the road. If it comes out during this hour of Armed American Radio and we get the alert, we will certainly let you know. Hopefully the truth does come out, because it should. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Dave before moving on, because what Harden has been put through because of his $100 bond is crazy. You won't believe it. In case you haven't been listening the last couple of days, we'll explain it to you when we come back. 3 more segments with Dave. Don't go away. And welcome back. Let's keep this thing going for a few more minutes, because like I was talking about before the break, unless something else comes out of this, here's the deal. Here's the terms of his bond, which you're probably aware of, but He's facing, Greg, what'd you call it? A Class A misdemeanor?
Yeah,
Is that what it was? Class A misdemeanor? $100 bond. And the terms of that bond are no guns. They've confiscated his. No drugs, no alcohol, and random drug testing for having a lawfully carried gun owned lawfully by a non-prohibited person in a vehicle simply because it wasn't in leather. Now, Dave, here's a little nuance. I saw comments yesterday. I'm in Texas. Do you know how many times I put my gun in the console unholstered or in the glove box unholstered? Maybe that acts as the holster because it's not in plain view, okay? But really, here, and then to have the two, you think this guy committed a felony, he's looking at 300, if he's convicted, which I don't think he's going to be, it's probably going to be dropped. I hope it is anyway. But he's looking at 364 days, a $4,000 fine, and all those terms of his $100 bond. I know, I just want to get your thoughts on it. Have you ever seen, did you ever think we'd be talking about something like this in Texas, honestly?
No.
Short answer.
To be honest with you. That's Chicago, yeah. New York City, oh, of course. Right. Boston, wherever you see blue dominating the political scene, this is where you see this kind of junk. But Texas, Arizona, Montana, why? You get out here west of the Mississippi, and it's a whole nother country.
Yeah.
And the people in the flatlands of the East don't seem to understand that if you walk past 10 people, mm-hmm. 2 or 3 of them might be packing iron out here. It's just that's
probably
just
higher.
The way it is,
and probably much higher in Texas. It's higher here in Georgia.
Well,
that's what's so bizarre.
Yeah,
about this whole thing.
in the permitless carry states, there's no idea how many people are legally armed at any given time, and you know what? That's a good thing.
It is a good thing. That's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. I'm just curious before we move on. How do you think this shakes out?
I think this, well, as it was stated in the news release that the Citizens Committee put out yesterday, let's hope that whoever the judge is gives Mr. Harden a very gentle slap on the wrist, tells him, go buy a holster, and get the hell out of my courtroom.
Yeah, actually,
one of those things.
That's what a prosecutor should say, but it's Harris County. It's very blue. But that's what the prosecutor should say. Mr. Harris, we want to talk to you. We're going to drop the charges. But first you have to promise to show me that you bought a holster. Oh, you did? Okay. Bye. Have a great life. That's exactly what should happen here. Unless there's more to the story we're unaware of, which has not yet come out. With the amount of news that this is getting, I would think, Dave, you've been a journalist a long time, I would think that with the coverage that this is getting and national organizations jumping in on this right now, they're clearly aware of what they're, of what's being reported, that if there was something that could help their case, they probably would have released it by now if they could have at least something, but they haven't. So the whole thing reeks. But we're going to keep our eyes on it because it definitely bears talking about. It's fascinating, to say the least. Good heavens.
It is.
Yeah, it really, truly is. Again, it's not something I would have thought we'd have seen somewhere else, but certainly not in Texas. But anyway, we'll talk about it when it comes up. Let's talk a little bit about some of the work you're doing. Just yesterday, you have a piece up, SAF announcing support for Virginia lawsuit using militia argument. Talk to us. This is interesting stuff.
Well, it's an interesting concept because Virginia it's a commonwealth. Virginia has what has been told to me anyway, one of the strongest militia components of its state constitution. Now, if that's the case, and I don't have a law degree, so I'm not going to jump into that, but if that is the case, this is an interesting angle, and I was talking to somebody the other day about this. It's not that we're talking about, changing the dynamic from the individual right to the militia. If you look at any militia component or requirement in any state constitution I've ever seen, the members of the militia have to turn out with their own personally supplied arms. Mm-hmm. So there's your individual right there. You have to be able to supply your own firearm, and it has to be up to military-grade standards, I would presume, in order to be a member of the militia and to pass muster. So you show up, and you're part of the militia. But if the governor signs legislation that makes it impossible for you to obtain that kind of a firearm, well, they got a problem with that. And I'm kind of guessing that they might not have seen this one coming. And let's hope they didn't. Because the longer this plays out, the dumber they're going to look.
Yeah. Now, Ken, I want to point this out, ladies and gentlemen. The case is brought by Ken Cuccinelli, who is Virginia's former attorney general. Now, here's what he had to say that Dave reported. Unlike other lawsuits filed challenging this assault weapons ban, this case is unique in that plaintiffs are arguing they have the right to buy the banned arms to preserve their ability to function as the militia that is preserved under the Virginia Constitution's militia clause. Most other cases are making Heller-like arguments, and we feel this case is a good vehicle to ensure this unconstitutional ban is looked at by the court from every angle. And as you just pointed out, the militia clause in Virginia has been described as very strong. And historians, I'll quote Dave, historians might say this is not surprising considering how much of the Revolutionary War was fought there and how many of the founders resided there. So it makes perfect sense. And guys, I want to point out that I've been invited to Ken Cuccinelli's press conference on Friday. And I will advise you on Friday's Armed American Radio what went on in that. It's a by invite only deal, and I want to thank Stephen Gutowski for providing me with the invite there from Cuccinelli's office. So we will keep you abreast of what's happening there. It's going to be interesting, and Dave, I'll talk to you about that as well off air. But guys, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here because this is a battlefield literally in Virginia right now over your Second Amendment rights. And I say yours because you don't have to live in Virginia to be fighting this fight. We'll explain with Dave when we come back. Don't go away. Harden Workman, welcome back in, my brother. Let's keep this thing going because it's a fun conversation. The whole Ken Cuccinelli thing is fascinating to me for a lot of different reasons because this is the first time I've seen it attacked this way. But I think it's a great thing that Cuccinelli's doing this because look at the angles that this case is being attacked at. You've got the Second Amendment Foundation and two others in federal court, 7 suits filed. Then you've got the state court because of the Virginia state constitution, their quote-unquote Second Amendment clause, which is very strong in the state constitution. Now this. I don't know how any of this survives in Virginia. Now, some of the other laws will. I'm talking specifically about the assault weapons ban, Dave, which is the biggest of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll tell you what I really think is going on here. This is a classic textbook example of anti-gun Democrat overreach.
Oh, is it?
I am hoping, and sometimes I place my hopes in the wrong place, but I am hoping that a federal and state judge both look at this and just tell Abigail Spanberger and the Democrats over in Richmond, you guys really screwed the pooch on this one. You are done. This is unconstitutional, and it's going to go away, and knock it off. In an ideal world, that would happen. Now, we live in a less than ideal world, but, we can always hope. This is, if we look around the country, and let's skip away from Virginia for just a minute. You look at California, you look at Oregon, you look at Washington, where I happen to be at right now. You look at Illinois, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and some of the other gulags out there. And it's all being driven by A, the same political party, and B, the same anti-gun hysteria that would have us believe the Second Amendment is not about a constitutionally protected right, but a government-regulated privilege, and they're doing their best or worst, depending on your perspective, to turn it into a government-regulated privilege. And let's hope that the courts finally just bring a screeching halt to this and say, look, you guys got to go back to high school, take an American government course,
Good luck.
and learn what the Bill of Rights is all about, because you ain't got it.
Dave, they don't care. I'm going to go just a step further than you, too. Because everything you just nailed it. But I'm going to go one more, and that is they don't care. It's about their hatred of their right. Talarico just said it, the quiet part out loud. He echoed Joe Biden a couple weeks ago, as you know, when he said, no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. And when if they believe that, that's why they're doing what they're doing. And then you have the guy who wrote the bill, Aziz or Azim or whatever his name is, in Virginia, saying these stupid comments that if these prosecutors think they're going to get away with it or law enforcement isn't going to enforce it, because I forget the number now, but I think it's over 12 prosecutors now saying in Virginia, it might be even higher than that. Correct? I'll try to find that number during the break from VCDL. But you've got a number of state prosecutors, county prosecutors now saying we're not going to prosecute this. You also have a number of sheriffs saying we're not going to be arresting or anything on this. We're not, basically telling Virginia, we're not following your new law. It's unconstitutional. It's a violation of rights in this state. That should telegraph something to these people who are writing these laws that, well, maybe we have overstepped our bounds here, but they just don't care. They know they did. So.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I agree with that. Look, I've been in journalism for more than 50 years, and I've seen just about every goofy thing that could come out of a political establishment. Remember, I live in Washington State. This used to be a great state to live, and in the last 10 years or so, the far and farther left Democrats, I don't even think they are Democrats anymore. They some of them brag about being a socialist, but they seem to have lost any semblance of a moral compass. They disregard the Constitution, except, of course, when it benefits something that they favor. But they just don't seem to have a firm grasp on the reality of what it is they're doing. They're trying to dismantle not just the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment. Count them down and see some of the goofy things that are coming out of the political left these days. And you're going to wind up scratching your head wondering, where are these guys from and where did they think they're going? Because, if they don't like living here under the system of laws that we've established for 250 years, then, I'll give them a world map and let them pick where they want to go, because they don't belong around here.
It's interesting because you have an exodus in your state. A lot of millionaires leaving. The Seattle mayor has said, well,
That's
bye.
Right.
Okay. You've got a mass exodus in California, a mass exodus in New York, mass exodus in New Jersey, et cetera.
Right.
By the very people.
And where are those people going?
Well, they're going to Florida and Texas. Florida and Texas, and some of them are coming here to Georgia. They're moving south.
Yep.
But here's the interesting part about this. These are the people, and there's a reason for this, guys. The people who are leaving do not live under the rules that they voted for. They live in gated communities. The laws don't touch them. They've got enough money. It doesn't matter. They're insulated from this stuff because none of them will live. Then if you want to be an honest person, move to the inner city. Live under the laws and the rules in the inner city. But they don't. They're living the elite lifestyle, and then they move, and that's why they continue to vote, because they feel insulated, and they can. They're above it all. That's the elitism. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. You're seeing it right before your eyes, and it is mind-boggling. And, a lot of it stems from just pure Donald Trump hatred. A lot of this stuff is new. The Democrats have always been whacked out. I've disagreed with them my entire life, but not like this. Okay, there used to be a time when Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan could do epic political battles during the day, and then every Tuesday, him and their wives got together at the White House and had dinner because they were friends. They understood the separation. That doesn't exist anymore, and that's why we have hatred. And I got to quote, again, it's a perfect opportunity to quote Neil McCabe. All right, I'll take us to the break with that, and we'll get Dave's comment on this. But Neil McCabe famously said on this program last year, Mark, think about it. if you can't even have dinner with them, how are you supposed to have a country with them? Wow. More prophetic words have probably never been spoken on this program before, because he is right. Guys, everybody out there has got somebody in their family that they probably don't want around anymore, purely because of politics. When we come back, one more segment with Dave Workman. Who knows where the final segment with Dave is going to go, but we'll figure it out together on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Don't go away. We'll be back right after the break with Dave. And welcome back. Let's keep the conversation going for the next 6 or 7 minutes, Dave. I'm at my wit's end about a lot of this stuff. I think what I was just mentioning with Neil McCabe, I think is very true. I don't see any light at the end of this tunnel, Dave. And as a result of this, we have no choice, because we simply cannot work with the Democrats on any, particularly these issues that we focus on here on Second Amendment issues and the Bill of Rights in general, as you pointed out. We're not going to be able to work with them. They don't want to work with us. They don't care. They hate it. They hate us. And we just have to accept that, and we're just going to have to beat them back in court, Dave. Is the Supreme Court ever going to get off its duff? It just denied cert in another New York case a couple days ago, and we don't know why. When are they going to take one of these cases and moot this whole Virginia argument right out of the box? Because they can if they just take the case.
Well, I've got my own feelings about Chief Justice Roberts. And
Let us have them.
They're very timid about doing stuff, Second Amendment, because I think that they have concluded that there's only one way that they can really decide these issues. And politically and socially, some of those justices just don't want to go there because, gee whiz, they just will become really unpopular with the political left. And you know what? That's too damn bad. We have a Constitution in this country. We need to enforce all 10 of the amendments in the Bill of Rights. And we're not doing that really. The guiding wisdom of the Trump administration and our Department of Justice right now is that the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. And fortunately, the DOJ, with Harmeet Dillon as an assistant attorney general heading the Civil Rights Division, they're going around and they're picking on some people and making them enjoy a little bit of grief by suing them over unconstitutional gun laws. We need to step that up because, effectively, Trump's got, about 2.5 years left in office. If the Democrats take control of the House or the Senate or both in November, that agenda, we're going to be in trouble because all they're going to be yelling about is impeach, impeach, impeach. And the whole country will be tied up in that. I don't want to see that. I want to see us, act like adults and realize that, gee whiz, we do have a Constitution. We may not like everything about it, but it's a hell of a lot better than any place else on the planet, and we got to live by that. And if people don't like guns, fine. Nobody has to own a gun. That means more of them for you and me.
I'm good with that. But look, make no mistake, they love their guns, don't they? They love their guns. They just don't like our guns. What you just pointed out about the Democrats and what will happen in November, you're spot on. That's all we're going to hear about. The House will, if they take control, they will impeach Donald Trump. They will continue to do it. Not saying they're going to get a conviction, but they will. And Trump has already admitted as much. He already knows that's coming. So they're in this for the long game. They're in this looking at taking the House and Senate in November, and their goal, of course, is looking to 2028 and putting a Democrat back in. And if that happens, everything that they're doing in states like Virginia and Maryland and California is going to be a national problem because they're going to do it at the federal level, and we're all going to be in trouble. And when you're dealing with a party that simply doesn't care and is at a point that they hate your guts, you got a big problem on your hands, ladies and gentlemen. This is why we ask you every day to get involved in these individual states. It matters. It matters more than you can ever imagine. Don't think you're safe, because you're not. What did Washington do? I've got to find this out from you with our last couple of minutes. What did Washington do about 2A rights after 2 DUI convictions in 7 years?
Well, that's another thing that, personally, I think it kind of sucks. But we have a law now that if you're convicted twice during the course of 7 years for driving under the influence, you lose your gun rights. Now, I don't think that could stand up under Supreme Court scrutiny, but we're going to have to wait and find out, to see somebody file like a case about that. And remember this, I want you to put something in perspective. Washington, Oregon, California, Virginia, some of the other what I called gulags a while ago. This really does kind of remind me of what America was like in 1859 and 1860. There were sharp divisions.
Yeah.
In those days, it was north and south. Nowadays, it's left and right, or left versus the right and the center. And at some point, that bubble's going to burst.
Look, I know you well, and I know you don't say that lightly. I know you very well for many years, and I know you don't say that lightly, but I share that sentiment. We've talked about it on the program, not just with you, but with others as well. And you're absolutely correct about that, and that's people's biggest concern and fear, Dave, is that bubble popping. And we're in a very dangerous place, ladies and gentlemen. We're dealing with a party that hates you, and you know it if you have family that hates you simply because you're a Trump supporter. And make this very clear. The majority of Americans voted for Donald Trump. They're not on the right side of this, and they're never going to fix themselves. They're not going to roll back. The genie's out of the bottle. Dave, with our last 30 seconds, where can people find you, brother, because we love you?
Well, I am still editor-in-chief at thegunmag.com, at Liberty Park Press. I'm writing online for American Handgunner and Guns Magazine, which have gone online now. I've got a column in Northwest Sportsman, Guns and Shooting, been doing that for years. And I'm starting to write stuff for the American Shooting Journal. And if that doesn't cover it, I'm getting old, I forgot.
That covers it. Ladies and gentlemen, just do a search in whatever engine you use, and guess what? Dave Workman's going to pop up, and he's got great columns everywhere. Don't forget Liberty Park Press, Ammo Land. It's all there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Dave, thank you for being here, brother. We appreciate it very much. I'll be reaching out to you about the press conference later today. Guys, that was Dave Workman doing great work over at Second Amendment Foundation and CCR KBA. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. I'll see you on the radio.